Hello, my loves. Rocket Fox here, along with my dude Samurai. And I am coming to you. If you follow me on any of the other socials or anything like that, you'll maybe by now, or maybe at some point, notice I made a post in which there was actually a few images of text in which I shared, the story that I'm telling along with it, as well as in the description for the post itself. But it's something I feel is really important to share, and I wanted to do it also via my voice, my face to your ears and your face. So this is about my journey with medication. Yeah, and it's the sort of thing that as I've gotten older, I've embraced the fact that I need medication in order to function in a healthy and quote-unquote normal-ish sort of way. And my history with it is that I've always been somebody who has advocated for, therapy, absolutely, but also medication, things like that. If you need any sort, if you need antidepressants, anti-anxiety, anything like that, absolutely, it's a very real thing that goes on in the brain, whatever it may be. And it's something that I think 100% people should be able to utilize and feel perfectly comfortable and happy, healthy, affordable. Different story for later. But that all being said, it somehow was different when it came to myself. It's the sort of thing that, for whatever reason, I always felt like I should be able to feel better, make myself feel better, be more grateful, get more rest, stay more hydrated, I should be able to get organized, stop having ideations, control my impulses, and for God's sake, develop some discipline, and it happened, it so happened, and more so, as I'll share as my story continues, that I realized I could not and cannot control these things because it's not something that's within my control. I've been on antidepressants and various combinations of anti-anxiety medication for probably around 4 years, I want to say, and it has made an incredibly big difference. By the time it got through my system, was rolling around in there, it made me, I guess, realize what it felt like to have a new baseline, even as someone with clinical depression, and being able to feel like, oh, this is what it can feel like on just a normal basis. And that said, though, even after and fairly recently, got an Adhd diagnosis, I was still feeling hesitant, I guess would be a good word, about getting on stimulants. I will be honest, I had some negative connotations just based on when I was younger, when I was a kid. And the version that I'm on now, which is the generic of Ritalin, the generic Ritalin, its name is methafentanyl or something like that. And everything I've ever known about meth is stuff that I don't want to be a part of. It sounds silly to say, but like it's very real, it's a very real thought process and concern, So my thinking with that too was like, what would it mean for me? What would it do? So as of right now that I'm recording this, it's been 8 days, having taken the plunge on stimulants. And what it's meant for me is that on day one, I didn't feel like I was wearing a 10,000 pound hat. The medication I had tried previous to that, which was a non-stimulant, I'd been on for about 3 to 4 months, I want to say. And in a great part, the exhaustion to the degree of being completely uncontrollable, was also an experience I was having because of being on this other medication, which I've always dealt with being exhausted. I'm a tired lady, you know. I've been exhausted my entire life. I may have been born exhausted, but it was at the point to where I actually would just pass out when I was studying. It got to the point that during an average day, I could not stay awake for longer than about an hour and a half before having to lie down. And it was such a visceral body exhaustion that I could feel everything felt heavy. Everything felt just like I couldn't think, I couldn't move. So the first day on the stimulant, which was the first day I started weaning off this other medication, yeah, I didn't feel that same level of exhaustion. I was able to do tasks that I needed to do, able to get a couple things done that I have had in the pipeline for months. And also when I got finished with one of the tasks, I looked at the time and saw it was around like 10 p.m. and I decided that I would get ready for bed and go to bed. And I was able to do that. In and among some other impulsivity control things that I was able to do. Certain things that I've had really difficult time with, I, was able to just say to myself, no, you know what, I don't want to do that. And I didn't. And it was that easy, and there was also this realization, I guess, in that moment that this was not going to be the only time I ever felt productive, the only time I ever had energy or motivation. So I didn't have to try and get everything done in this moment. So I could go to bed, and not just keep going. Yeah, I was able to control my compulsions, which impulsivity has been one of the really big symptoms that I've personally had to deal with, and it did a lot for that, even just in that first day, and one of the things it also meant for me was that I realized, and especially the next day, day 2, I had an appointment with my therapist and I was talking to her, and I realized that I had been trying so hard. I had been trying so hard for so long being my entire life. And being in a place where I was hard on myself, I would try every type of journal out there, every different setup for bullet journaling, every different app, every different note-taking, sticky notes everywhere and all this stuff. And everything I would try and everything I would not be able to stick with. And I always would be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why can't you do this? And if I did find myself in a poor decision-making situation, thank you to impulsivity and such like this, like I would in that moment feel like I had control, and then afterward look back and be like, the fuck are you doing? Why would you not have thought about the bigger picture or the ramifications of that action, and things like that. And in this session with my therapist, I realized, like, I don't know, it made me really start to get emotional. And I am not someone who has historically gotten emotional, just in general, but also in therapy, which is its own issue entirely. But I realized how just straight up mean I was to myself simultaneously, while realizing how hard I had been trying for nothing. And not necessarily for nothing, but like how hard I was trying on an impossible task, I think, is a better way to put it. And this realization that I wasn't able to do the things I was wanting to do, not because I just lacked the somehow inherent ability, not because I was bad at doing everything. Some of the things that happened weren't because I was a bad person, but it's because I didn't have the tools to be able to function in a way that is more healthy and useful for myself, And all of this has reminded me of a video that I saw, and if you haven't seen it, you can look it up. I'm sure it's on all the video online places. But it's this video of somebody who comes across their pool. I think it's like a backyard pool or something. And there's this rabbit that ended up getting into the pool, and it can't get out, right? The sides are all slopey, because it's a slopey pool, not just a straight up and down, but it has a slope to it. But the slope at the side is too steep. So this rabbit runs around, and it keeps trying to run up the slope and get out of the pool, and it can't do it. And the person shows up, and they film it for a minute, and then they eventually do. Spoiler alert, the rabbit does end up getting out of the pool with some help. But I was reminded of this rabbit just running around this pool, just running up the side of the slope, and then just not able to get out. And that reminded me of my own experience with this, like I wasn't able to get on with doing hashtag just rabbit things, like eating clovers or hanging out with other rabbits or making my rabbit nest or, doing any other number of things that rabbits do, because I was trying so desperately hard to get out of this concrete void that I just couldn't understand, and that's all that was around me, and that's all I could try and do. And for me, the thoughts would occur like, oh, if you run faster, if you jump higher, if you get more of a running start, when in truth, if you watch the video, if you look from an outside perspective, none of that is the issue. The issue is that it's too steep. The rabbit can't get out by itself. So yeah, this is it again. It's a day over a week official. But I am still acclimating, and it's not like all of a sudden I have suddenly developed methods on, getting my businesses organized and all this stuff that are suddenly working perfectly. But it does mean that all of the methods that I've tried, I could probably find one now that will actually be helpful to me and not just frustrating, and for everyone out there who, for one, is a patron, and you follow me on Patreon, and for everyone who is a patron, huge from the deepest, darkest pit of my heart, a huge thank you for your amazing support and your incredible patience, because I know I am really behind on getting the physical swag sent out. And for anyone who is curious about what I am talking about, I do have a Patreon where I send out, it's ish monthly swag, which consists of these mini zines and stickers and stuff like that. The way it had gotten to be is sending out every other month, but there is stuff for each month, so you will end up with something for each month. And then there's stuff that I actually post digitally as well, like coloring sheets, and I've been doing meditations, and tutorials on crafts and stuff like that. So if you want to check that out, wherever you're watching this, in the description you can see, I'll post it there. But for everyone who is on there with me, thank you so much. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your support. I cannot tell you how much it means to me. For anyone who may come across this, who, is someone who I owe a piece, a response, information of some kind or another, thank you so much for your patience. And please do not hesitate or feel bad to reach out and poke me if I owe you something. Again, I'm gonna get everything sorted, figured out, organized. But again, I'm still acclimating to the bevy of chemical changes I've dealt with in this past time. But the other and equally, if not more important, thing that I wanted to say is for all of the other pool-trapped bunnies out there, you are not failing at anything. You are not bad at doing stuff. You are not a bad person. I see you. You know, it's okay. It's okay to struggle. It's okay to have a hard time. You know, and I'm tempted to say it's natural because it is, you know. And yeah, it's not because there is any fault with you. You know, and there's a lot of tools, and some of those tools can feel a little bit scary, you know, as when I switched this latest medication, but it has been worth it for me personally. But yeah, so that's what I've got. Thank you so much for joining me on this this little bit of a talk, and yeah, take care of yourself, listen to yourself, and most importantly, be kind to yourself. And I will catch up with you later.